arts, culture, and entertainment in the Coachella Valley. This is The Desert Scene with Bonnie G. from the Mutual Broadcasting System. Here's Bonnie.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. Happy to have you here, and very happy to welcome to the show a good buddy of mine, Joel Baker, who's one of the best pianists in town, and he is hosting a brand new open mic at the Roost. I went last week and it was fabulous. Hi, Joel. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. So I'm trying to remember I think you've been on the show before, but if it was quite some time ago, I think. I know I've done it. It's been a while.
Many, many years ago. It has been a while.
So first, let's talk about the open mic, which is fabulous, and the Roost, and it's such a lovely little stage, and the piano and the lights. They've really got a nice setup there. So tell people about the open mic and when they should come, who should come, and what it's all about.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's at the Roost Lounge in Cathedral City, which is right next to Trilusa restaurant, and it's near the Mary Pickford Theater. And it starts at 6:30, and sign-ups start at 6 o'clock. And they've got this really beautiful stage area that they've built, and with a nice curtain in the background, and also turquoise piano. It's not a real piano, of course. It's a turquoise shell with an electronic, digital Yamaha piano encased in it, which is really nice. It's got a great sound to it, and it's a real pleasure to play. And we've had 1 week of it so far, and I think it was pretty successful.
Yeah.
And and so anyway, we're doing that, and all are welcome. All levels, all levels of singers, and people are welcome to bring their sheet music if they want. For me to play for them if they have a specific song they want to sing, and if they don't have sheet music, then I might know it. The older the song, the more likely I know it. I know a lot of the old standards.
Yeah, but it's also good to know your key. So let's go back. Again, it's been a while since we've had an interview. Where are you from originally, and what brought you to the desert or to California? Tell us a little bit about your early days.
Sure. I was born in the Seattle area and raised in Redmond, Washington, which is east of Seattle, which is where Microsoft is based. And a lot of changes have happened in that town since then. And I lived in Seattle until I moved here in 2003. I got my music degree in the late 80s from the University of Washington School of Music in classical music. So that's my background. But I've always enjoyed playing a lot of different kinds of music as well. Mostly, pop, Broadway, kind of semi-classical. I'm not. I don't really consider myself to be a jazz pianist per se, because I'm not a jazz cat. I'm not one of those who can just sit down and just lose myself and go off into another world and improvise like crazy.
Yeah.
I watch people like that, and I just think, wow, you just really got to be born with that.
Yeah.
And that's not really where I go, but I do like to play jazz as well as other genres.
And let's talk a little bit about, and of course every singer knows, there's a difference between some people are great pianists and other people are great accompanists, and that's not always the same thing. So let's talk about that a little bit.
A lot of people are great pianists, but, it's just their particular bent. We all have different personalities and different tendencies, different bents again. Yeah. Some people are more geared toward playing solo stuff, being a concert pianist, and others are more inclined to be ensemble players or collaborative pianists, and that's always kind of been my thing. Even when I was in kindergarten, in first grade, I would go up to the piano and play the songs we were doing in music class, and the class would sing along. So I guess it's kind of in my blood to accompany singers. And one difference is, of course, when you're playing for singers, you're following them.
Yeah.
You got to develop an ability or have an ability and develop it to really listen to what the singer is doing, breathe with them, emote with them, and just really feel what they're doing. And if you've been playing for a singer for a while, you can kind of predict what they're going to do.
What's going to happen, yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And sometimes you have to feed them the words. Sometimes if they skip a verse or something, you got to act like nothing happened. And
exactly, yes.
And chances are the audience won't know what happened as long as you don't stop, and they don't stop or say oops or anything like that.
Yeah. People who don't sing don't know. For a singer to have a pianist an accompanist who you've worked with many times, who does know you, sort of have that relationship, you feel safe. And if you do skip a verse or go crazy or go to the wrong spot or miss a note, they're kind of there, like a safety net to sort of kind of bring you back to where you need to go, which is wonderful as a singer. Now, you also sing. Joel has a wonderful voice, and you've written a couple things, songs as well, right? Talk about that.
I've written one song, and I when I was in high school, I just kind of fooled around with writing songs, but never really did anything about it. And then one day I was here in Palm Springs, and about 20 years ago, and I thought, I think I'll write a song about Christmas in Palm Springs, and so I did. And my husband Don Vasconcelos coordinated it with me. He helped me with some of the lyrics, and we wrote that song, and then had it recorded in the studio with vocalist April Murphy, and she sang it, and it's available on Apple Music and some other streaming services. It's called Christmas in Palm Springs. Yeah, and the Palm Springs Gay Men's Chorus, whom I am the principal accompanist for, sang it in some of their concerts as well. That's great. Now, do you think you might, if the mood strikes you down the road, write something else? Is that sort of you're thinking about? I don't know. Again, everybody has their inclinations, and that's one that I don't particularly think I have much of. Yeah. Writing songs, but I do. I've collaborated with some local songwriters, such as Troy Garza is one that I believe you know, who's written a lot of songs, and I've kind of helped to chart the songs, and I do custom sheet music and backing tracks for singers, custom sheet music if they have a song that they want to be able to sing, and it's not, the sheet music isn't available. I can listen to a recording of it and create custom sheet music. So I do that kind of thing as well. Right. And that's again, for singers, that's really a joy to have somebody around that does that. I want you to, this might be a tough question, but you've been in the desert a while now, 20-some years. Is there a highlight or one or two highlights of your career of some really prestigious place you played, or a big name you played for, or a particular show that stands out for you in your memory? Yeah, well, first of all, that question reminds me of how many opportunities there are here in the desert to perform. It's just, I've had people tell me, I moved here from L.A. because I want to sing live music, as if like there's more live music here than there is anywhere else. I've heard that too, yeah, and it's there's all different genres, including there's a growing classical scene here in Palm Springs, and there's of course jazz and the American Songbook. Frank Sinatra, of course, was a presence here in the desert, so his music is very popular. Tony Bennett and so many great musicians are moving here more and more all the time. It's just really become a mecca for great musicians and singers, and there's so many that do exactly the same thing that I do, and have worked on Broadway, worked with touring productions, and just really are tops in their field. And it's been very inspiring for me to learn from them. And I continue to do that. So, but as far as a big thing in my playing career around here was to be able to play for an event that was honoring Stephen Schwartz, the composer. It was held at the Annenberg Theater, and this was in 2012. And some big names, Andrea McCardle, the original Broadway Annie, sang in it, so I got to work with her, and as well as Hunter Parrish from TV show Weeds, and he went on to reprise the lead role of Jesus in Godspell on Broadway in the revival of that musical. And Kate Flannery from The Office, and just to be able to collaborate with all these people, and Stephen Schwartz himself was there, was just a really great opportunity. So that's one of the big highlights that I've had here. Excellent. Another question, going back to the open mic situation, as an accompanist who's worked with many, many, many singers over the years, what advice, or are there some, let's say, pet peeves that pianists, accompanists have when they're working with a singer, like people coming in and not knowing their key or giving them the wrong key, or not? Any do's and don'ts that you'd like to provide for newbie singers? I've written a whole list of do's and don'ts, and I've tried to make it sound as so it's not a list of my own pet peeves, but things that will actually benefit the singer too, because it's true. If you give me or whoever's playing for you the music in the right key, then that will really serve you well.
Yes,
because then the pianist won't be struggling to try to find the key if they're if they don't know the song or aren't real good. Proficient at transposing or whatever, if you could have the music in your key and with the arrangement that you like to sing already written out, then that's very helpful. And one thing I always tell singers is when you're in performance, don't look at the pianist, because then it looks like you screwed up and it's the pianist's fault, and then I might change keys on you without your authority, to get back. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But it's just keep going, just keep singing as if nothing's wrong. The audience won't know it, and I might have a page-turning accident or something, but if you keep singing, I'll catch you.
Yeah.
Let's see, what other things about working with a pianist are good. Just those things, and and try to listen to what the pianist is doing, because they're listening to what you're doing, and try to make it a group effort. And you can look at the pianist if it's like in a jazz club or something, and they're
doing an instrumental,
making eye contact, that kind of thing. But, not in an audition or a performance.
Yeah, because it looks like the people are going, "What's wrong? What happened? What's wrong?" Yeah, exactly. And I think, and you kind of mentioned this already. Eric always says, "My sweetie, end pretty." And pretty is always helpful. And just keep going. And if you mess up, don't stop, and make faces and go, oops. Yeah, you're right. Because the audience might not know unless you draw attention to it. Yeah. Well, Joel Baker, people should come check out the open mic night every Monday at the Roost. Sign-ups at 6 o'clock, singing 6:30 to 9. It's right there again in Cathedral City by Trelusa. And Joel is fabulous. He's the best. Thank you, Joel. I'll be back again to the open mic. It was wonderful. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Really appreciate it.
You bet. It's a pleasure.
All right. Take care. And we'll see the rest of you the next time on the Desert Scene.
This program was produced by the Mutual Broadcasting System.